You wake up inside a life that looks calm from the outside. The room is quiet. The routine is familiar. Your body knows exactly what to do before your mind even catches up. You reach for your phone, glance at the time, and begin another day that feels almost identical to the last. Nothing is technically wrong. You're functioning. You're responsible. You're doing what needs to be done. And yet there's a weight you can't explain. At work, you complete tasks efficiently, you meet expectations, and you might even receive praise. But when you sit alone at your desk, staring at a screen filled with numbers, words, or plans that don't stir your spirit, a question rises quietly inside you. Is this really all I was created for? You don't say it out loud. You've learned how to keep these thoughts hidden even from yourself. Still, they return, especially when things slow down. In the evening, you come home tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Family conversations happen around you, but part of you feels distant, like you're present in body but somewhere else in spirit. You care deeply for the people you love, yet you sense that you've been carrying something alone for a long time. Not pain exactly, more like unfinished purpose. As if a chapter of your life is waiting to be opened, but no one has handed you the page. You try to be grateful. You remind yourself of others who have less. You say, I shouldn't complain. But gratitude doesn't cancel calling, and pretending you're fulfilled doesn't make the hunger disappear. It only makes it quieter and heavier. Chosen one, this feeling is not confusion, it is recognition. There are moments when it hits you unexpectedly. Standing in traffic, washing dishes, listening to someone talk about their dreams while you nod politely, wondering when yours stopped feeling reachable. You remember a season when your faith felt alive, when you believed God had something specific for you, not just survival, but direction. Somewhere along the way, practicality took over. You chose stability over obedience. Not because you didn't love God, but because you were tired of waiting. Still, heaven remembers what you tried to forget. This dissatisfaction isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And that's why it's dangerous to ignore, because quiet misalignment can last for years if you keep telling yourself it's normal. But God does not speak to you through chaos alone. Sometimes He speaks through emptiness, the kind that shows up even when life looks full. You may be financially stable, yet strangely unfulfilled. Or you may be struggling, wondering why your effort hasn't produced breakthrough. You pray safe prayers now, short prayers, careful prayers. God, just help me get through this season, but deep down, your spirit wants to ask a braver question. God, what did you actually design me for? That question matters more than you realize, because when God designs destiny, He doesn't rush it, but He also doesn't abandon it. Delay does not mean denial. Silence does not mean rejection. And the fact that you feel this tension means something inside you is still alive enough to respond to truth. There is a reason certain thoughts won't leave you. A reason certain people, moments, or names resurface in your mind when you least expect it. God often uses memory to signal alignment. Not nostalgia, but preparation. He is reminding you of the version of yourself that once believed more was possible. You're not restless because you lack discipline. You're restless because you're called to movement. Let this settle for a moment. God does not waste years. Even the seasons that felt stagnant were shaping your discernment. The disappointments taught you what not to settle for. The closed doors trained you to hear His voice more clearly than the noise of opportunity. Hope is not abstract here. Hope looks like clarity returning. It looks like courage rising again. It looks like God slowly reconnecting you to purpose without overwhelming you. One insight at a time. One confirmation at a time. Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Read that carefully. You planned, you tried, you adjusted, but God never stopped establishing. Even when you felt stuck, He was still directing. Even when you chose safety, He was still steering outcomes. Your story did not derail because you hesitated. It matured. Think about this practically. In your career, you may soon be faced with a choice, a project, a role, or a connection that feels oddly significant. In your personal life, a conversation may reopen something you thought was closed. In your faith, a hunger may return stronger than before. These are not disruption, they are signals. Let me ask you directly now, don't deflect it. Don't spiritualize it away. If God redirected your path today, would you recognize His voice, or would you be too attached to routine to follow? This is the moment where awareness begins. Not fear, not pressure. Awareness. If this message speaks to the quiet place you rarely talk about, support it by liking and sharing so others who feel fine but empty can hear it too. Subscribe to stay aligned with what God is revealing step by step. And as an act of faith, not superstition, but intention, comment 777 below if you are ready for God to establish your next steps. Not just maintain your comfort. Before Moses ever stood before Pharaoh, before miracles split seas and history shifted, there was the desert. Not a symbolic desert, a real one. Sand, heat, silence. 40 years of anonymity after once living in a palace. Moses had already tasted importance, already believed he was meant to deliver his people. And when he tried to act on that belief too early, everything collapsed. He ran. He hid. He became a shepherd in a land that didn't know his name. That is where God found him. Not when he was confident, not when he was powerful, but when his life had settled into something painfully ordinary. Each day looked the same. Sheep, dust, distance from the dream he once carried. Moses didn't wake up expecting destiny anymore. He woke up expecting routine. And that is why this story matters to you. Because many of you listening are not in crisis, you're in quiet exile. You are not being chased, but you are not advancing either. Your life didn't fall apart. It narrowed. You adjusted expectations. You told yourself certain things were for another life. Like Moses. You once believed you were meant for something greater. And like Moses, you learned how to survive disappointment by lowering your vision. The desert is not punishment. It is preparation that doesn't look impressive. Think about your own life. Maybe you once had ambition that burned, hot ideas, faith, courage. But time passed. Responsibilities grew. You needed stability. You chose what was sensible. Now your days feel repetitive. Work consumes energy but not meaning. Finances are managed carefully, but joy feels postponed. You're doing what's necessary, but something sacred feels dormant. Moses wasn't lazy in the desert. He was faithful. He worked. He provided. He lived quietly. But none of that erased the call God placed on him before he ever fled Egypt. God allowed the desert because Moses needed unlearning before he could lead. Pride had to dissolve. Impulse had to mature. Identity had to shift from self-appointed savior to God-sent deliverer. And here is the part many miss: Moses did not know the desert was temporary. Years passed, not weeks, not months. Years. He likely assumed this was his life now. And some of you have done the same. You've accepted a version of life that feels smaller than what your spirit once recognized. Not because you stopped believing in God, but because waiting hurt more than settling. In daily life, this looks like staying in a job that pays the bills but starves your gifts. It looks like staying emotionally guarded because hope disappointed you before. It looks like being dependable for everyone else while quietly disconnecting from your own calling. You tell yourself, at least I'm not failing. But deep down, you know you're not fully aligned either. The desert teaches patience, but it also reveals truth. Moses learned how to listen again. In silence, he learned attentiveness. In obscurity, he learned humility. And when the time came, God didn't speak to him in Egypt. He spoke to him in the desert through a burning bush that disrupted routine without destroying it. Notice the pattern. God met Moses while he was doing the same thing he'd done 1,000 times before. That's important for you, because God often interrupts ordinary days, not dramatic ones. He doesn't always announce destiny with noise. Sometimes he waits until you are calm enough to hear him. And the reason you feel restless now may be because you are nearing that interruption. The desert season is when God redefines success, not by applause but by obedience, not by speed but by timing. Moses had to learn that deliverance would not come through force, but through surrender. And you may be learning the same lesson, especially if past efforts to make things happen only led to exhaustion or loss. Spiritually, the desert strips away false urgency. Emotionally, it exposes what you've been avoiding. Practically, it teaches you endurance. That's why it feels slow. That's why it feels lonely. And that's why it feels confusing, because you are being prepared for something that requires weight, not impulse. The Word of God speaks clearly through the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart. Read that again slowly. The wilderness was led by God, not wandered into, not accidental. Led. Some of you need to hear this plainly. The season you're in did not mean God changed his mind about you. It means he is changing you so you can carry what's coming. If release had happened earlier, it would have crushed you or you would have misused it. God delays to protect both you and the people connected to your calling. In everyday terms, this may look like God teaching you emotional maturity before restoring a relationship, or teaching you stewardship before increasing provision, or teaching you patience before reintroducing a person connected to destiny. Moses could not free people until he learned how to walk slowly, listen deeply, and obey fully. Let me ask you something honestly, without comfort or pressure. What if this season isn't holding you back but shaping you so you don't break later? The desert feels empty because it removes distractions. It feels repetitive because it builds consistency. And it feels long because transformation takes time. But deserts end. They always do. Moses didn't know the bush would burn that day. He just showed up. And that is your assignment right now, not to force the future, but to stay present, faithful, and awake. Because when God speaks next, it will change the direction of everything. There is a moment that comes after the desert, but before release, it is quieter than breakthrough and heavier than waiting. It is the moment when God begins to test not your patience, but your discernment. You are no longer lost, but you are not yet confirmed. And this is where many chosen ones become confused, because the season looks familiar, yet something inside you has changed. You're still waking up to the same environment, the same job, the same people, the same responsibility, but you no longer fit the same way. What once felt tolerable now feels tight. Conversations feel shallow. Goals that used to excite you now feel incomplete. You haven't moved locations, but your spirit has moved positions. This is the stage where God sharpens your ability to recognize alignment. In everyday life, this often shows up through subtle discomfort. At work, You may be offered opportunities that look good on paper but feel wrong in your spirit. More money, more recognition but less peace. Or you may notice that you're suddenly more aware of compromise around you. Things you used to ignore now bother you. Not because you're becoming judgmental, but because your sensitivity is returning. That sensitivity is intentional, chosen one, before God connects you to what is meant for you. He teaches you how to say no to what is merely available. Many people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they accept the wrong one too early. Discernment is protection. This season may also affect your relationships. Some connections start to feel strained not through conflict, but through silence. You realize you're the one always adjusting, always explaining, always shrinking. You feel tired after interactions that once felt natural. And you start to understand alignment doesn't require performance. It requires truth. God begins to remove your tolerance for misfit. Financially, this stage can feel unstable not because you lack provision, but because God is shifting how you think about security. You may feel prompted to save differently, give differently, or even step back from something that brings income but drains integrity. This is not recklessness. This is recalibration. God doesn't just want to bless you, He wants to trust you. Emotionally, old wounds resurface not to harm you, but to heal completely. Memories you thought were resolved come back with clarity. You see patterns clearly now. Where you overgave. Where you ignored red flags. Where you confused potential with promise. This awareness is not condemnation, it is maturity. This is the season where God teaches you to pause before you proceed. Spiritually, you may notice your prayers changing. You no longer ask God to fix everything quickly. You ask Him to reveal what's real. You don't want shortcuts anymore. You want alignment even if it takes longer. That desire alone proves growth. The danger here is impatience disguised as faith. You might feel tempted to force clarity, to reach out, to revisit something prematurely, to settle questions God hasn't answered yet. But discernment requires restraint. Moses didn't approach Pharaoh until God sent him. David didn't touch Saul even when opportunity was in his hands. Timing matters as much as calling. And God knows when you're ready, not when you're restless. The ancient words recorded in the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verse 14, still echo today. But solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. Notice the language. Discernment is trained, not automatic, not emotional. Trained through use. That means this season is practice. Every choice you hesitate over, every urge you resist, every boundary you hold, this is how discernment becomes strength. In daily terms, this might look like choosing not to respond immediately to a message that stirs confusion. It might look like declining an offer without needing to explain yourself. It might look like sitting with unanswered questions instead of filling the silence with assumptions. These are not small acts. These are signs of readiness. God is watching how you handle ambiguity, because what He is preparing to connect you with, whether a person, a role, or an assignment, will require clarity under pressure. You won't always have time to process slowly. So He trains you now, when the stakes are lower, to trust His quiet signals. Let me ask you something directly, without softening it. Are you willing to wait for what aligns, or will you reach for what reassures? This question sits at the center of destiny. Many chosen ones delay their future not because God is slow, but because they keep revisiting what He already closed. Discernment means you don't need everything to make sense before you obey. You only need peace. And peace doesn't shout, it settles. Hope in this season is not dramatic. It's steady. It looks like confidence growing quietly. It looks like you no longer chasing validation. It looks like God teaching you that not every door requires your knock, some require your stillness. Now, as an act of alignment, I want you to comment a phrase not as noise, but as intention. Comment "I choose alignment" below. That phrase matters because it declares discernment over urgency, obedience over impulse, and destiny over distraction. It's not a wish, it's a decision. When you write "I choose alignment," you are declaring that you will no longer rush God's timing, chase comfort over truth, or settle for what is convenient. You are choosing clarity over confusion, obedience over emotion, and destiny over distraction, even when waiting feels uncomfortable. There comes a moment in your journey when logic reaches its ceiling. You have thought this through from every angle. You have replayed conversations, weighed risks, listed advantages, counted costs. You have done what responsible people do. And yet, the more you think, the less peace you feel. Not because you are careless, but because logic was never designed to carry destiny all the way through. Logic is a doorway, not a throne. This is where many chosen ones quietly stall. They assume that if something cannot be fully explained, it cannot be trusted. But God does not oppose wisdom, He transcends it. When logic has done its work and peace still hasn't arrived, that is not failure. That is a signal that you've reached the edge where discernment must take over. In everyday life, this edge shows up clearly. At work, you may be offered a role that looks perfect on paper: better pay, more recognition, clear progression. Yet something inside you resists signing your name. You can't justify it logically, and that frustrates you. Or in relationships, everything seems aligned: timing, values, attraction, but your spirit stays guarded. You keep asking yourself, why can't I fully lean in? This is not fear. This is perception. The first practical instruction in this season is simple but uncomfortable. Recognize where your logic has tapped out. When your mind starts looping instead of leading, thinking without clarity, planning without peace, explaining without conviction, you've reached the boundary. God allows this mental fatigue so you stop relying on analysis alone and begin listening beneath the noise. The second instruction is learning how to stand using the name not as a ritual, not as a slogan, but as identity. Standing in the name means you anchor yourself in who God is when pressure tries to redefine you. Manipulation rarely arrives wearing obvious threat. It comes dressed as urgency, guilt, obligation, or fear of loss. Decide now. Don't disappoint them. This may never come again. These voices push you to move without alignment. Using the name doesn't mean you argue back louder. It means you become stiller. In practice, this may look like pausing instead of responding immediately. Saying, "I need time," without explaining yourself into exhaustion. It may look like refusing to negotiate your values for approval, or choosing silence where you once defended yourself endlessly. Standing firm is not aggression, it is rootedness. Manipulation only works when identity is unclear. At work, this could mean not agreeing to terms that quietly violate your integrity. In family dynamics, it may mean stepping out of emotional patterns that relied on your compliance. Financially, it could mean turning down fast gain that costs long-term peace. These decisions are rarely celebrated, but they strengthen something far more important than image: internal authority. And internal authority is what sustains destiny. The reason God trains you here is because what is coming next will require steadiness under pressure. If small urgency can move you now, larger responsibility would crush you later. So God teaches you how to stand before. He teaches you how to advance. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 14. God said to Moses, "I am who I am." This was not just a name, it was an anchor. God defined himself as unmovable presence, not reactive, not manipulable, not rushed. And when you stand aligned with him, you inherit that posture. You stop letting circumstances name you. You stop letting pressure decide for you. Notice how Moses returned to this identity again and again. Pharaoh demanded speed. The people demanded answers. Fear demanded retreat. Yet Moses learned to return to the source, not the noise. You are being trained the same way. Not to debate every demand, but to recognize when something is trying to pull you out of position. Ask yourself honestly, where have you been over-explaining, over-justifying, over-compromising just to keep peace? These are often signs that manipulation has slipped in quietly. Peace that requires you to shrink is not peace. Godly peace fortifies boundaries, it does not dissolve them. This section is practical because destiny is not sustained by emotion. It is sustained by posture. As you practice this pausing, listening, standing, something changes inside you. Anxiety loses leverage. Confusion fades. Confidence returns, not as arrogance, but as clarity. You begin to trust that silence can be stronger than reaction, that waiting can be active, that firmness can be gentle and still immovable. Here is the hope: you can hold on to what is truly aligned with you, will never need to manipulate you. Opportunities from God don't rush you into distortion. People meant for your future will respect your pace. What belongs to you will recognize you when you are standing fully in who God says you are. And when that happens, movement becomes natural. There are moments when alignment doesn't need announcement, it needs marking, like placing a stone beside a path you intend to walk again, like lighting a lamp, not to impress anyone, but so you remember where the light is when night comes. If this word steadied you, let it rest with you longer. Liking this message is like pressing your palm into the ground and saying, "I know where I stand." Sharing it is like leaving a quiet lamp on the road for someone still finding their way. And subscribing is choosing to stay near the fire, not out of obligation, but because warmth matters on a long journey. No pressure, no urgency, only recognition. Those who are meant to walk this road together always know when to stay close. There is a moment when opposition suddenly intensifies, not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are getting close to what is right. Many chosen ones misunderstand this stage. They think resistance means rejection. But spiritually, resistance often signals proximity. When alignment approaches, interference reacts. This is the phase where pressure becomes personal. You may notice it first in subtle ways. Plans that were moving smoothly begin to stall. Conversations feel heavier. People misunderstand your intentions more easily. At work, miscommunication increases, deadlines tighten, expectations shift without warning. At home, tension rises over small things. Inside, old doubts try to resurface, whispering, maybe you misheard God. Maybe you're asking for too much. This is not random. When God is about to unite what he has prepared, whether a person, a purpose, or a position, the environment often reacts before the breakthrough appears. Think of it like this: darkness does not wait until light arrives to panic. It reacts when light gets close. In everyday life, this can feel exhausting. You're doing your best to stay grounded, yet distractions multiply. Financial pressure may suddenly increase. Unexpected expenses show up. Or the opposite, an attractive offer appears that would pull you away from alignment if you accepted it quickly. This is where discernment must remain active, not reactive. Chosen one, not every door that opens is sent by God. Some are sent to test whether you remember what He already told you. Relationally, this season can be especially confusing. Someone from the past may reappear not fully healed, not fully aligned, but familiar enough to tempt compromise. Or new connections arise that feel intense but unstable. Intensity is not the same as confirmation. God's unions are anchored, not chaotic. Here is a truth you must hold tightly: what is meant to come together under God does not require you to abandon peace to obtain it. Spiritually, this stage feels like warfare, not dramatic but persistent. You may feel mentally tired for no clear reason. Prayer requires more intention. Silence feels louder. This is because you are being trained to hold your ground while moving forward. Advancement without grounding leads to collapse. God strengthens your stance before He accelerates your steps. Look at how this shows up practically. You may feel prompted to simplify: less noise, fewer opinions, tighter boundaries. This is not isolation, it is focus. God often reduces external input when internal clarity is about to increase. If you keep inviting too many voices, you risk diluting instruction. This is also where emotional maturity is tested. You may want to explain yourself, defend your choices, or seek validation. But God is teaching you that not everyone needs to understand your obedience. Explanation is not a requirement for alignment. Sometimes silence protects what is forming. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world." This verse reframes everything. The tension you feel is not primarily about people. It's about position. You are shifting spiritually, and resistance follows movement. Once you understand this, you stop taking everything personally. You respond with wisdom instead of reaction. In finances, this may mean holding steady instead of panicking. In career decisions, it may mean not quitting prematurely or leaping impulsively. In relationships, it may mean slowing down instead of accelerating. Warfare often tries to rush you into mistakes. God invites you to remain anchored. Hope in this season is very real, though it may feel quiet. Hope looks like stability in the middle of pressure. It looks like you sleeping peacefully even when questions remain unanswered. It looks like God protecting you from decisions you would have regretted later. Let me ask you directly, because this moment matters when pressure rises. Do you tighten your grip on peace? Or do you reach for relief at any cost? Your answer reveals readiness. God is not testing you to see if you are perfect. He is confirming whether you are anchored. What is coming next will require calm authority, not emotional urgency, and you are being shaped for that now. Remember, this warfare does not get the final word. Alignment does. Pressure does not cancel promise, it clarifies it. And the closer you get, the more important it becomes to stand firm in what God has already shown you. As a sign of readiness, not fear, not superstition, but intentional agreement, I want you to mark this moment. Comment 9019 below. That number represents standing firm under pressure, choosing alignment over impulse, and remaining anchored while God completes what He has begun. It is not about visibility, it is about position. The number 919 represents completion followed immediately by transition. The first 9 reflects a cycle that has reached maturity, lessons learned, endurance proven, resistance faced without retreat. It marks a chapter that no longer needs repetition because its purpose has been fulfilled. The number 1 at the center speaks of alignment and clarity. It represents standing in the correct position before God, not rushing ahead, not lagging behind. It is the moment you stop reacting to pressure and begin moving with quiet authority and inner certainty. The final 9 returns to confirm readiness for release. It signals that what tried to oppose you no longer has permission. When you acknowledge 9:19, you are declaring that pressure refined you, not distracted you, and that you are prepared for what follows next. There is a sacred stretch of the journey that few speak about, the space after resistance weakens. But before fulfillment fully arrives, the noise has softened. The pressure no longer shouts. Yet nothing dramatic has happened on the outside. This is the season where God teaches you how to carry what He has promised without rushing to display it. This is not waiting in desperation. This is waiting in readiness. Internally, you feel the difference first. Your reactions slow. Situations that once triggered urgency now meet restraint. You don't feel the need to fix everything immediately or prove that something is happening. You have learned that movement is not always visible, and progress is not always loud. In everyday life, this shows up quietly. At work, you still give excellence, but you no longer overextend to earn worth. You know when to stop. You know what is yours to carry and what is not. You don't panic when recognition is delayed. You understand that timing is not neglect, it is order. Financially, your mindset has changed. You are careful, not fearful. Intentional, not rigid. You plan without anxiety. You spend without guilt. You save without hoarding. You trust provision without testing God through impatience. You've learned that rushing money decisions out of insecurity creates losses that patience would have avoided. Relationally, there is a noticeable steadiness. You no longer chase clarity from people who are unclear with themselves. You don't reopen doors God closed simply because loneliness knocks. You can sit with unanswered questions without betraying your peace. This is not emotional distance, it is emotional maturity. Spiritually, your faith feels quieter but deeper. You don't need constant reassurance anymore. You no longer interpret silence as abandonment. You've learned that God often speaks loudest when He is forming something fragile and valuable. Silence is not absence, it is containment. This season is about guarding. Before God releases fulfillment, He teaches you how to protect what He has already placed inside you. Many blessings are lost not through opposition, but through exposure. Over-explaining, oversharing, over-moving. God slows you down not to frustrate you, but to keep you intact. In practical terms, this may look like God delaying a conversation until your emotions can handle its outcome, or postponing a reunion until you no longer idolize the connection, or slowing progress until your identity is no longer attached to results. God is not withholding, He is fortifying. Think of a vessel being sealed before it is filled to the brim. Without sealing, fullness leaks. God seals you here. This is also why comparison becomes especially dangerous in this season. Others may seem to move faster. Their lives may appear louder, more visible, more celebrated. But visibility is not fruitfulness. Speed is not confirmation. God works at different depths with different people. You are being worked on at depth. This is the season where discernment becomes instinct instead of effort. You don't analyze every feeling anymore. You recognize peace quickly. You sense misalignment before it gathers momentum. This isn't intuition alone, it's training finally taking root. The enemy's tactic here is subtle, not temptation but comfort. The invitation to settle early because things feel good enough. To stop reaching not out of rebellion, but out of fatigue. But you can sense the difference now. You know when something offers relief instead of alignment, and you choose alignment. The Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 14, Guard the good deposit that was entrusted to you. Guard it with the help of the Holy Spirit who lives in us. This verse carries weight because it places responsibility in your hands, not to strive, but to protect. God has already entrusted you with something valuable. Your task in this season is not to display it, explain it, or rush it, but to guard it. Guarding looks ordinary. It looks like restraint. It looks like discretion. It looks like choosing not to speak when silence protects growth. It looks like consistency when excitement fades. It looks like staying grounded when impatience whispers. In daily life, this may mean you stop announcing plans before they form. You move quietly. You let habits replace hype. You allow consistency to do what enthusiasm once tried to do alone. This is not secrecy, it is stewardship. You also respond differently to setbacks now. When something doesn't move immediately, you don't spiral. You adjust. You listen. You continue. That resilience didn't arrive overnight. You were shaped into it through earlier seasons of loss, delay, and disappointment. This is the moment God begins to trust you with stillness. Not everyone can handle calm. Some people only feel alive in chaos, but chaos is expensive. It drains clarity, distorts identity, and shortens endurance. Peace, on the other hand, strengthens perception. And what God is preparing to release through you requires peace to function properly. So if this season feels uneventful, good. If it feels quiet, good. If it feels steady, very good. You are not paused. You are not forgotten. You are positioned. And positioning always comes before purpose becomes visible. What you are guarding now will soon require movement, but it will move without strain. When the moment comes, you won't need to convince yourself or others. You will recognize the timing the same way you recognize your own breath, natural, undeniable, and perfectly matched to who you've become. Until then, remain where you are with confidence. Stillness is not stagnation when God is involved. It is strength gathering itself. You are not being delayed, you are being made ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. There comes a moment when striving quietly steps aside and recognition takes its place. Not recognition from people, but recognition within. You no longer need constant confirmation. You no longer need to explain why you waited, why you said no, why you stood still while others rushed ahead. Something inside you has settled. You know where you stand, and more importantly, you know who you stand with. This is not the end of the journey. It is the moment you realize you are no longer walking blindly. You notice it first in ordinary details. Mornings feel calmer, even when responsibilities remain heavy. Decisions no longer drain you the way they used to. You still weigh options, but fear no longer leads the conversation. At work, you speak with clarity instead of urgency. You contribute without shrinking. You no longer measure your value by response or applause. This is what alignment looks like when it becomes lived, not imagined. In relationships, something profound has shifted. You stop overextending to be understood. You stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from crossing them. You listen more closely, not just to words, but to patterns. You allow silence to reveal what effort used to hide. Peace becomes your compass, not chemistry or familiarity. Financially, you move differently now. You are not reckless, but you are no longer driven by fear. You understand that provision is not just about how much you earn, but how wisely you steward. You choose sustainability over image, growth over comparison. You trust that slow, aligned progress will outlast fast, hollow gain. Spiritually, your prayers have matured. You don't beg God to hurry. You don't demand signs to soothe anxiety. You pray with trust, not desperation. You ask for alignment instead of escape. And because of that posture, you hear God in subtler ways, in restraint, in timing, in peace that doesn't need explanation. This is the fruit of obedience no one celebrated. Chosen one. This season confirms a truth many never reach: you were never behind. You were being shaped where applause couldn't reach you. What felt like delay was refinement. What felt like silence was instruction beneath the surface. God was not withholding, He was preparing. And now, you carry something deeper than urgency. You carry trust. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 16, verse 13. Be on your guard. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous. Be strong. Notice the order. Awareness comes first, then firmness. Courage follows stability, not chaos. Strength is the result, not the starting point. God did not rush you into strength. He trained you into it. Hope now looks practical. It looks like future plans forming without anxiety. It looks like doors opening that don't require you to beg or perform. It looks like connections that feel steady instead of consuming. You no longer confuse intensity with destiny. You recognize what's from God by how little it manipulates you. And here is the quiet beauty of this moment. Alignment doesn't announce itself loudly. It reveals itself naturally, like dawn spreading without permission, like a lock turning without force, like fog lifting to show a road that was there all along. You are no longer trying to become someone else. You are becoming yourself fully and honestly, and without apology. This is why testimony matters. Not to impress, but to illuminate. When light is real, it travels naturally. Some will recognize it instantly, others will return to it later. Both responses are sacred. Truth never begs to be believed, it waits to be recognized. Staying connected matters too. Not as obligation, but as proximity. Those who have walked through darkness understand the value of staying near light. You don't cling, you remain. And remaining is always a choice, never a demand. Even responding, leaving a word, a mark, a reflection is like placing a stone on a path you intend to keep walking. Not to be seen, but to remember. I chose alignment here. There is no pressure in this moment, only invitation. Like resting by a fire, not because you are cold, but because warmth feels honest. Like walking alongside others without needing to lead or follow, just moving forward together. Like keeping a door open because you trust what comes through it. If this message walked with you, even quietly, let your response be just as natural. Liking this message is a gentle nod to truth as it passes. Sharing it is like opening a window for someone who has been breathing stale air too long. Subscribing is choosing to stay near the well, not because you are thirsty now, but because you understand seasons change. And if your heart feels full enough to speak, leave a comment, not for visibility, but as a small marker in time that says, I was here. I recognized myself, recognized. No demand, no rush, only a beautiful voluntary choice. Those who are meant to continue this path always know when to walk a little farther together. You don't need to prove what has already been confirmed. Alignment carries its own quiet authority. When you walk forward from this place, you do so without hurry, without fear, and without apology, trusting that what is meant to meet you will recognize you by the way you stand. And as you continue, remember this: destiny is not loud, and purpose is not rushed. It unfolds in obedience, breath by breath. You are not chasing the future anymore, you are walking with it, steady and awake. Exactly where you are meant to be. And now, there is nothing left to force. You don't need a dramatic ending to prove that something meaningful has happened here. Some messages are meant to land softly, like a hand resting on your shoulder rather than a voice calling your name. What mattered was not every word, it was the moments where something inside you quietly recognized itself. If this journey felt useful, if even one sentence helped you breathe more deeply or stand a little steadier, you are free to let it travel further. Truth never loses value when it's shared, it simply finds new places to rest. Someone else may be walking through a season you've already survived, and a single shared word can become a light you never get to see working. But if this message wasn't meant to move beyond you, that's just as sacred. Some words are not meant for circulation. They are meant for keeping, for holding privately, for returning to on quiet days when clarity feels thin. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what touched you. What matters is that you noticed it. You are allowed to take only what resonated and leave the rest behind. An open ending is not uncertainty, it is trust. Trust that what was planted will grow at the right pace. Trust that you don't need to rush meaning into conclusions. Trust that alignment continues even after the message ends. You don't have to decide anything right now. You don't have to feel anything dramatic. You don't have to respond perfectly. Just remain honest with what stayed with you. Some journeys don't close, they widen. And sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is walk forward quietly, carrying what you've received without trying to define it too soon. Whether you pass this along or simply carry it with you, let it serve its purpose gently. What is meant to stay will stay. What is meant to move will move. And you exactly as you are allowed to continue from here without pressure, without noise, and without needing permission.